Alright, guys, welcome to another edition of the Anything Wrestling Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And it begins.
We are here today. First of all, we got the band back together. It is the Sean, Dad, the man.
So it's a somber day in podcast world.
How you guys doing? Doesn't matter. We are here today to talk about. This is probably going to be the most provocative, the most instigating episode, and you guys will see exactly why. Today we are here to talk about finally an episode that's been a long time coming. The man, the myth, the legend, the self-proclaimed face of the WWE, Roman Reigns.
Good times, good times.
Oh, you guys are waiting for me to say something, huh? Like I normally do, right?
The floor is yours.
No, I'm sorry. I don't advocate this episode.
No. You gotta advocate the episode.
Not to this son of a bitch.
Well, then in that case, I will. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the man, and I will be the advocate for today's episode about Roman Reigns.
I'm just the commish. I'm just here to talk shit today.
That was beautiful. Not your introduction.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare I what?
You knew this was coming.
Fine. You want me to get it out? I will get it all out on the table. I do not like this man. The fact that he gets an episode on our network.
So just to get it straight, not only do you hate the character, you hate the man himself.
I'm sure he's a great guy off screen. I'm pretty sure he does nice things for people, kind of trying to be like his protege, the original.
The prototype?
Yep. But, oh God, on screen. Oh,
Suffering succotash.
God damn it.
The
All right,
yacht.
can I say it like my favorite owner?
His last name again?
Damn it.
Alright, well...
Let's go.
Well, okay, first of all, before we bash the guy, let's talk about the good years.
I don't want to say bash the guy, because honestly, it's about decimation. That's right, I used a dictionary word. I'm capable of that. Unlike Mr. Suffering Succotash.
Well, in the case of Suffering Succotash, let's jump back to Survivor Series 2012. We got a triple threat match going on. It is John Cena versus CM Punk versus Ryback. And all of a sudden...
Three great guys in a good match. It was a good match, honestly. What did you guys think before we got the greatest team to ever come into the PG era?
I have not rewatched the match since it actually happened live. I will say that this was at a time where CM Punk was, right in the middle of his title reign, was doing a great job, and Cena was, doing what he usually does best. And Ryback was...
Did he have a shovel?
Springboard stunners?
Dan, don't.
Did he have a shovel?
Always.
Was it golden? Hey, people say he has a golden shovel to bury people. I'm just saying.
Well, I got somewhere...
That one was in the shop. He only had the silver shovel.
It wasn't like pay-per-view worthy, I guess.
Get that man a platinum shovel.
Anyways.
And Ryback was slowly climbing up the ranks of being in the title picture. Yeah, I just remember a lot of chaotic stuff going on in this match.
I think for a triple threat with those three, they were really trying to sell it like... Because come on, you have a monster like Ryback, and he's just dominating. You're supposed to have, I guess, the original Vince McMahon creation do what he does best, but he's being outbested not just by a monster, but by possibly the self-proclaimed greatest technical wrestler in the world, CM Punk. You guys can't say that match wasn't great.
I don't remember it being bad, so I'm gonna say
I don't remember
yes.
being like the greatest match ever
Yeah.
in Survivor Series history either, but it was still a good match.
I seem to recall liking it for the most part. I wasn't as high on Ryback as the Shant was, but it was okay. It was a good match.
And then he comes in.
Liati, Joseph, Anoa'i.
Oh, that was a good pronunciation.
That was a good pronunciation. So that's how you pronounce it.
If there's anyone that wants to correct us about it, please feel free to comment on it in the comment section.
And tell me how bad I suck. I think I got it pretty right.
I think you
so.
did.
Well, you don't suck as bad as Roman, so. Enter Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. The Shield debuts. Thank God without actual shields in their hands, because I'm sure you guys have heard the story of, rumblings of, oh no, you're gonna go out with actual shields out there.
Riot shields that you won't be able to maneuver around with.
Which was great that they all decided as a team not to do, because that would have been like a botched gimmick of like these three guys.
It would have been like a 3MB part 2 where you would have just been a comedy act every time you came out.
I think it was better. I think it was better that they were the analogy. You didn't need a physical representation of the Shield.
Yeah.
It was they were the Shield against injustice. It
Yeah.
was,
So now that we're in the Shield and the Shield, I'll admit, the Shield was producing great television week in and week out. But I want to talk about the illusion that was covered up here, because at first it seemed like, I thought Roman's gimmick in the Shield was great. Just the guy was meant a few words, very soft spoken. It was direct. It was to the point.
what were those words?
No, go
anyone?
ahead. No, I'm not. I'm fucking not saying it again.
Well, that
Goddamn
was
thing.
after Shield. What, Suffer and Succotash?
No, believe that.
But what do you guys think of that? Because I look back, I'm like, what if it was an illusion covered up? Because
by the fact that he can't cut a fucking promo.
well,
He was green.
I'm talking about wrestling ability as well, because at that time it was you share the ring. It was a couple minutes of Rollins, couple minutes of Reigns, couple minutes of Ambrose, so you didn't get to see Roman full time in the ring. So it almost seemed like, okay, once the Shield broke up, hey, maybe Roman, he can do it all.
Well, he was your enforcer, so his whole thing was to come in, do a couple of power moves, sell the beat down, and then wrap it up.
I think they call him the muscle of the group,
Yeah.
Okay, if we're gonna talk about them before, obviously the deception of one being your guy.
Don't complete that sentence.
Jinder Mahal.
Better.
He doesn't want me to complete it because he knows that his guy. joined-
Don't say it.
Why not?
Because.
Kurt Angle?
He just doesn't want history on the podcast. Anyways, when it came down to those three before the dissension of the group, yeah, very soft spoken, didn't say much, didn't need to say much. He was built as an enforcer, as the big muscle of the group, and I like that. I like that he didn't have to say much. I like that he just came in, like you said, did a couple power moves, kicked people's ass, and helped the group, just dominate, which was fine to me. It's just, if you're gonna have a character this powerful be that impactful, deliver it on the freaking microphone, for fuck's sake.
Well, I think Dan and I, we've talked about this before, is that I wouldn't mind Roman being the face of the company, but with that character. The guy, because they always say that, the guy who's the face of the company has to be this big guy who's, yelling into the camera and delivering all these promos. As we saw with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, that trend has changed. That's no longer a thing. So I think why not introduce, the face of the company, let it be Roman Reigns, but let it be someone who's soft-spoken, a man of few words, and a guy who's all power moves.
Who just functions in his intensity.
Yes.
Because it seems like he's just a relaxed guy when he's cutting his promos, which I think hurts him.
Again, if I got that, Mr. I'm so relaxed, but I don't say a damn thing. I just show it with my wrestling. I say a little bit, and probably nothing. That's fine with me.
He shouldn't have 15-minute promos.
No, God, no.
Well, okay.
God, no.
I almost feel like he should be the one who responds to promos. He should not be the one that initiates
the promos. I can remember there was one segment when the Shield was together. This is Piper's Pit. I think one of his last episodes that he did. And Piper was trying to instigate and say, oh, there's cracks in the Shield. I think this was in like a couple months before they broke up. And Roman was like, you continue talking, I'm going to break your old ass in half. And that's all he says. And I'm like, see, that's exactly what you need now. Direct to the point. And I wouldn't even mind a curse word in there. Why not? Screw it. It's reality era. It's not even PG era anymore. Not, as you said, Raw opens up, his music hits, he comes out, and...
He's smiling.
You guys see what I see.
Okay.
We acknowledge it.
Sometimes.
Denial is the first step. Again,
Admitting
you guys,
you have a problem.
I'm gonna be as candid as I can today. So if there was a bleep button for this podcast, it'd be fucking going off a lot.
So before we get to Royal Rumble,
where it started.
And real quick, I'm going to interject
Yes.
one more time. If you go back, I watched, this is in terms of his wrestling ability. I went back and I watched his, I think it was his debut in NXT, when it was like first being branded as NXT, and I think he was still going as Liaki. And he's not bad.
He's not great.
He's not great, but he's not bad. But they've done what they did to Cena, and they've limited his moveset. Not all of his shit looked good. Like some of the moves he's better off not doing.
Yeah.
But he did some stuff in that match that he doesn't do anymore. And if he had some of those moves too, I think that would make him a little more interesting to watch in the ring. Because I think one of the chief complaints is how limited he seems to be.
Yeah.
He gets his ass kicked for 10 minutes. He Superman punches you 4 times, spears you twice, and the match is over.
SummerSlam.
Unless he loses.
To one
But-
spear.
Yeah,
Or
but then...
seven F5s.
To kind of run with that, I think we've talked about... I think you and we've talked about it before. I went back a couple months back and I watched this match from SummerSlam of 2014 when he was going against Randy Orton. This is after SHIELD has broken up, before he gets the big push. And I saw the match and I'm like, it doesn't seem so sequential. It doesn't seem so comeback-like. It seems more he does a move, he might get his ass kicked for 2 minutes, he does an offensive move, and the match actually seemed to gel very well. Now it's going back to your point. For the last 2 minutes of the match, that sequence is coming. No matter what, it's coming. It was kind of like with Cena, the double shoulder tackle with the 5-knuckle shuffle and the attitude adjustment, So in that match, I'm like, it's not so sequential.
And I think it's because with that, you have him working with Orton. Orton's not a big guy.
Just shake his hand and you'll be fine.
He's a good-sized guy for Vince's company. But he understands how to wrestle technically.
Yeah.
And he understands ring psychology. Meanwhile, most of the matches over the last 2-3 years that we've seen have been Roman versus monsters or big guys. And then somebody's got to play the underdog, and I guess you're going to go with the slightly smaller guy when you have him against Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Kane, Big Show. And I don't think Kane and Big Show ever dominated Roman the same way that Brock and Braun have, but I still think that's kind of a side effect.
So this is my point then. This is what I want to ask you guys here. Do you think because he's booked with bigger guys than him, if it was the reverse effect, if he was booked with Kevin Owens or Finn Balor or we'll say Dolph Ziggler, smaller guys than Roman. Let's just say that.
I think it gives him more flexibility to work.
You think so?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is me trying to give the guy credit. If he was to work the opposite effect of what he's been getting, do you think he could actually start becoming a better wrestler
Yeah.
or a better technical wrestler or start implementing those moves that he used to have during his NXT days, and if not, grow from that? Honestly.
See, I want to emphasize something that you said. You said he would. That's the key word. He would. Yes, he would. If you guys recall, the night after SummerSlam, he had a match with Finn Balor. To be honest, it was the same old shit.
Yeah.
You know? Keyword, yes, he would. If they would allow him to come out of that comfort zone of get your ass kicked and then just do 5 moves and you win the match, I think he could have pretty good matches. But see, the way that they book him is that it doesn't matter if you're smaller than him, bigger than him, the same size. You could be a broomstick.
So
It's
you,
all the...
you don't get to call yourself the big dog and then just get your ass handed to you for most of your match and happen to win.
okay, but I'm sorry. If we can talk about other better,
Well, that's a commentary on his
Just
poor,
as-
poor booking, is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
I know, I get that, but I'm saying like we've had bigger monsters or big monsters like him that they've shown wrestling prowess. Like I recently, just like how you're doing, how you stated in a prior episode, how you're dating back from like what 97 to 2003.
3.
I'm at 98 in the network, which is how much again?
It is for a non-negotiable but very reasonable price of only $9.99.
So
Not $10. $9.99.
not $1,000. Anyways,
Or $1 million.
Jesus.
$9.99.
But I've seen like wrestlers like The Undertaker and Kane. They're 7 feet tall. They're 300 plus pounds. And going back to those days, lately I've seen that they were more than just monsters. They would actually do submission holds or groundwork or like just wrestle.
Yeah.
Why can't we get that now with not every monster in like the WWE, but like at least like with Roman? Why can't we have him break out of his comfort zone? Is it because of booking, like you said? Is it because the developmental team's not doing so well of like trying to get him out of that? Like what's going? That's my take on it.
I think it might be a little bit of dependency on his part. He's grown familiar with this, so he's I think he may have gotten a little afraid to try and do other stuff. I think it's also, I think it does play into the fact that you had him against Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, who you can't really technical wrestle. Braun is too big to do that, and Brock, you think Brock's gonna let you wrestle him technically? No, Brock wants to punch you in the face.
Brock does whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly.
Shit, he's gonna do that in the UFC soon.
But should that sort of thing be happening in the matches with Finn Balor, with the Kevin Owens, with Drew McIntyre,
With the
and Dolph?
Sami Zayns,
Yeah.
with all the little guys.
Which, by the way, I cannot wait for Sami Zayn to come back.
Well, honestly, I'm kind of biting my lip because I'm like, I don't know. The first run that he had.
Again, maybe we'll get something different this time. You never know.
I'd like to see him go back to, like we discussed, serious Sami Zayn.
Can he just go back to NXT and call it a day?
You can't go back to where you came. Or can you, Roman? Can you?
Well, okay.
Well,
before-
that got sidetracked.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any last parting words on the Shield before we move into,
Royal Rumble?
Before we move into Royal Rumble? Shield breaks up. Roman does fairly good for himself those next couple months.
My thing is when they broke up, granted that Seth got like the push first out of the three, Roman was doing decent. He wasn't doing great, but at least he was like going somewhere. And yeah,
He had his own spot.
yeah, and you got occasionally the support from Dean Ambrose to him, but Dean was going his own route too.
Yeah.
And doing well. It's just wherever the direction was going at one point with these three, two of the three were like getting like noticeable recognition. One was still building up. And then we have the Royal Rumble.
So let me take everybody back. So we're talking about Royal Rumble of 2015. Keep in mind that this was supposed to be just like how I remember watching live, Daniel Bryan's comeback story. He comes back from injury, wins the Royal Rumble, Because yes, we did get the storyline of Daniel Bryan achieves his dreams, but we never got the proper. He wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to main event WrestleMania. You didn't have that road to WrestleMania storyline for Bryan. We get to the Royal Rumble of 2015. What in the hell were they thinking?
Is it 2015? Which one are you talking about?
The one where he wins.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I was actually thinking about this yesterday, is that I think the company looked back and said, well, in 2014, everyone chose Roman Reigns over Batista, so they want Roman. It's like, no, what happened was you backed us up into a corner. We wanted Bryan to win, who wasn't even in the Rumble, and when it came down to the two evils, everyone was going to pick the lesser of two evils, which happened to be Roman.
And people didn't hate Roman at the time.
No,
anyway.
they didn't. They did not.
Because you had even had him come out as the last man standing in the Survivor Series match back in November of 2014, and then they go on to the Royal Rumble. That's where you have the Batista debacle.
Yeah.
Blue-tista. And so you have all that. I mean, like you said, it was a lesser of two evils situation.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if I've said it on here before, but I've said it to you, that I think that's when they should have pulled the trigger on Roman if they were going to.
I think you said it to us off air way before we came up with the concept of this episode.
Because I don't think that I don't think he would have necessarily been ready, but I think that would have been the time to organically start the push versus I guess inorganically or artificially.
But who said it best?
Paul Heyman has, I think, just nailed it right on the head, where he said Roman Reigns was the right guy at the right place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So again, not to say that Roman didn't deserve it, not to say that he wasn't going to be the guy. It's just the timing was just bad. It was.
And then that's when we jump to the next year, where I think the company was like, oh, you wanted Roman last year? We'll give you Roman this year.
And it's like,
And the audience is like, well, wait a minute. What?
So let me take you guys back. I think it is probably not even midway. I could be wrong. Where Daniel Bryan gets eliminated. And everyone is shocked, like, wait, what? What's going on here? Daniel Bryan gets eliminated. You have all these guys come out, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, all these up-and-comers, they're coming out, and then it becomes apparent what it is that they're exactly trying to do. Next thing you know, Big Show and Kane, a part of the Authority, start tossing everybody out, and in my opinion, they take the lowest blow ever to all the fans, is bringing out The Rock. Trying to, The Rock is our go-to guy, he'll get anyone cheered, The Rock comes out, a couple rock bottoms, Roman wins the Rumble, and the whole arena is booing this guy. Exactly.
Now, does The Rock ever get that effect? Only if he's being told by Vince or creative, when it's many comebacks, you have to be heel. That's being told to Dwayne directly. This is Dwayne / The Rock coming out as his own character, as the face that we all love when he comes back. Because many part-time comebacks are seasonal.
As Roman's cousin.
And he does this, and it's like, wait, we can't even get one of the biggest selling performers that we've had in our company.
The highest grossing actor of the last,
3 years. Push this guy.
And you could see the look on his face where he's like,
oh, Jesus. What have I done?
What does that say? Seriously, what does that say? That's a lot. And to me, it was like, are you fucking kidding me? You can't even get The Rock to sell this guy.
They should bring The Rock back to have a match with Roman. Anyway.
Now you're going into dream booking.
Hey, man. Twice in a lifetime. What was I going to say?
Not according to Sean.
But no, going on.
You want to let it out? No, hold on.
Go ahead.
I think he needs to let it out.
I'm okay.
No, come on. I get to voice my angers about this episode. I think we all should. It's therapy.
I think that'd be an interesting way to take it.
Here's the thing.
I want to hear this.
Okay. I hated him winning the Rumble.
Yeah.
I thought it was forced. I thought it was,
Well, it's also you had 15 minutes. I'm overshooting. 15 minutes of that slow build-up where you're watching Big Show and Kane knock each person out, pick them up, and throw them. And as they get closer and closer to Roman, you're like, motherfucker. They're about that. You knew what was going to happen.
You knew the build was
To be
coming.
honest,
10 minutes before it happened.
I didn't catch it. You can call me slow, you can call me whatever, but the whole time I'm like, maybe Dolph can get it, maybe Bray can get it,
No.
And then it's like, I'm like, okay, let's go Dolph. Knockout punch gets thrown. Okay, maybe Bray. No, and everyone just, I'm like, what are we doing
And
exactly?
then you got Roman alone, and then Rusev shows up and he gets eliminated.
Well, I wasn't a big fan of Rusev at the time because his gimmick was really repetitive. I'm like, nope, I do not want to see this guy main eventing Mania.
I think at the time I was okay with the idea of Rusev.
I
eliminating
think
Reigns,
I would have
but-
been okay with Rusev still being eliminated, but kind of forcing himself in to like cause some mayhem for Roman.
Yeah.
I would have sold it like that, but they just eliminate him, and it's like, all right, I'm
Or
going
you
to the
could
back.
have gone Rock Big Show with it and had the two of them eliminate each other, and then that's another story in and of itself. But I mean, it didn't happen. We're past that.
But what do we know? No, we pushed that son of a bitch.
So we go from Rumble, we go to this very mediocre road to WrestleMania with Lesnar.
God, it's so mediocre.
We get to WrestleMania. Okay, so now keep in mind we're now in full Roman is getting push effect. That WrestleMania 31 match, we've discussed this on our WrestleMania 31 episode. That match was great. I loved it. Every second of it. Even before there was a cash-in, I loved it.
So here's the thing. This was the first match
Match numero uno.
that we're going to get with these two. At first, before we knew what would happen for the next couple of years, all we thought was,
Oh, this is the big match.
this
the
is
big match.
these two are going to kill each other. They're really going to sell it. Cool. And of course, we got Seth doing what I thought, and that's what sold me on Seth Rollins when he cashed in, because not only does Seth have a great match that WrestleMania, like, he sold it so well against Randy. But for him to do what he did, that's when I was like, all right, I'm now fully sold on Seth, regardless if he's a face or a heel. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always had respect for Seth, and I wasn't really as big a fan of his during that time. But that WrestleMania was great.
You got to think how WWE came to their senses, because that whole finish was planned, I think, roughly about half an hour before they all went out. So you can only imagine thinking, okay, we screwed up at the Rumble. This is not what people want to see. How do we fix it? And there's Seth with his shiny little gold briefcase. Hey, I'm still here. You're cashing in tonight.
Yeah, I think the most recent account I heard is that he was told when he arrived at the arena that day.
Really?
That's when they said, "Hey, you're going to cash in tonight." So up all the way until then, it was Roman's going over. Roman's going to go over. Roman's going to win. Oh, never mind.
Last minute button. Go.
Thank you so much. To quote Seth Rollins.
For the next 3 years.
And I think because he was told beforehand, like, that he arrived in, like, San Francisco, I'm pretty sure he was like, all right, I can't not just have a mediocre night tonight. I have to do what I have to do.
It's because
And
he
sold it.
had to push himself to the moon.
And that whole match with Randy was top notch. The whole WrestleMania 31 card was top notch, no doubt. But, so I mean, we all agree that match was pretty cool with Roman and Brock.
It was exactly what needed to
What it
happen.
needed to be, exactly.
At the time.
Now we go on to
Years and years of what we've been getting with Roman suffering fucking succotash.
okay, I want to get your guys' separate opinions on this. Because I'm one of those guys where I don't appreciate fans. If the universe starts cheering so-and-so, you have this one fan, oh, everyone's cheering this guy, I'm going to cheer this guy, And if they turn on him, oh, I'm going to turn on him. I've always believed that if you hate a character, a gimmick, or even the person, you need to have a legitimate reason for it. I want to hear from you two, now that, we've gone from the Shield Roman to the single push Roman, At what point was it where you guys were like, okay, I'm done with Roman. Like that's it. I'm done with this guy. I don't want to see him. He has not proven a damn thing to me. I want to know separately from you two. At what point did that whole like, I'm done with Roman part start?
I think it started for me after Mania, personally, because it's like, okay, Seth screwed you over. You know, we still know you're the guy, but you're starting to go down a path where it's like, you're not the brute force that I remember from the Shield. You're not that guy to me anymore. You're now becoming this guy that wants to be John Cena 2.0. And you're starting to cut bad promos to me. You can't even convince me that you really are trying to become like this thing, you know, for the face of the company. But the nail in the coffin that to me just really just pissed me off so bad, and it pissed you off too, was WrestleMania against The Undertaker. Because at that point, I'm like, no, I don't care how much promos you're cutting into it. You have no fucking right to call yourself the big dog. You do not have the right to call the ring your yard, because there's been men before you that have earned that, and they don't call it that. And there's only one man that deserves to call it his yard, no matter what, whether he's the dead man, the American badass, I don't care. That belongs to The Undertaker. That's the moment where I was like, you know what? As I've said it, and I apologize for this whole episode that I've been cursing the most, but fuck Roman Reigns for that. That's when I was like, you know, I can't anymore. I don't care how much you push him. Vince, please, for the love of God, just stop with this guy.
Dan, before we get to yours, I want to tie mine in because that's exactly where, after WrestleMania 31, I would tolerate Roman. I'm like, okay, you're there, that's great. When is the next segment happening? Okay. After that WrestleMania 33 match where he won, and you guys know how I feel about the streak and Undertaker. Yeah. I was like, okay, first of all, you didn't need that. Because usually they say if someone is to beat The Undertaker, it has to be someone who needs that push, who needs that extra edge on their character.
Which he didn't need.
Roman didn't need that because, as far as I'm concerned, at that point, you were in a successful tag team. You won a Royal Rumble. You main evented WrestleMania twice. You won the WWE Championship in the main event. There was no need for you to win against The Undertaker and have a push per se. And the match sucked. I have had a reputation of going back and rewatching Undertaker matches. That's the one match where to date I have not gone back and watched, not even once. I barely watched any highlights, let alone the whole match itself. It was at that point where I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I can remember walking out of the pay-per-view saying, fuck Vince McMahon and fuck Roman Reigns. I'm done with both of you.
I could respect the fuck Roman Reigns, of course, but that's Vince McMahon now.
Well, I cooled off on that. I'm like, okay.
I got over being mad at Vince, but Roman.
Vince is like an indirect dad to all of us. Let's be honest here.
Vince is the indirect dad that like you hate when he tells you no, and you're like a kid who's like, I fucking want this toy. Like, no. He's like, you're not. He's like, son of a bitch.
Dad,
like,
can I have a WWE ice cream?
No.
You're grounded.
Son of a bitch.
Dan, the moment where you completely just... Well, I mean, if you've reached that point, I don't know if you have. I know we have.
I cooled on him for a long time, but I didn't resent him quite the same way you guys did. I would say that my chief complaint was just his booking after WrestleMania against when Seth cashed in was just.
So that whole like snowball effect that he was getting at that point,
everything just
stale?
just sucked. Like, it was all badly planned. I didn't give a shit about the story. Anyone But You, Roman, from Bray Wyatt. That was a bullshit storyline. But no, I'll overarchingly, I'll agree. I think that the peak point where it was like, Jesus Christ, really? Was when he went over The Undertaker. Because it was one thing to put Brock over The Undertaker. Okay. But then at that point, I think the three of us are in agreement it should not have happened again. No one else should have beaten The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
And to the credit of Brock, at least they had the whole Suplex City thing where he went on to crush John Cena and all that. I'm like, okay, at least you did something with it. With Roman, it's like he comes out, this is my yard now, mic drop. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That was 17 years ago when The Undertaker was first using it. Who the fuck are you? Continue.
Been around 4 years, asshole.
Yeah, with your 2 moves and 1 decent promo.
You should talk to John Cena about getting a 4th move. I hear he learned one in China.
Out of the respect for the Chinese people and Jackie Chan,
yeah,
moving forward, he'll be using that.
Lightning fist. Anyway, did you guys see the video of that?
Yes,
by the way?
I did.
And
It
I
looked
saw his
so
Japanese
bad.
and his Japanese speech for it too,
Fucking
or
ridiculous.
Chinese, whatever the fuck it is.
Which one does he know? Is it Mandarin or Cantonese?
I think it's Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Probably
So it is
Mandarin.
Chinese. Yeah. I apologize to the Asian community. I apologize for getting it right.
It was a Freudian slip. You're fine. Anyway, so the fact of the matter for me is that I don't think he should have gone over The Undertaker either. I think giving him a hard fought match against the Phenom and having the Phenom put him down would have been a better rub for him, because then people wouldn't have resented him. I think having him lose to The Undertaker would have been better for his career than beating him.
Thank you.
I think
Someone said it.
if-
Thank you.
If they went with your idea, because I know for the longest time you have advocated that if you write off Roman for TV for a little bit and then bring him back, you can kind of start getting the juice back on the character.
Yeah.
I think that would be perfect, is that Tombstone, rest in peace, and you don't see Roman for a while. He goes away, the fans
He's that
go-
humbled.
He's humbled, yes. Undertaker beats him. Who wouldn't like that? Undertaker beating Roman at WrestleMania. Everyone would be in favor of that idea. So if Roman goes away for a while, and if with the right booking, with the right writing, you might have been able to get the guy cheered by WrestleMania 34.
Yeah, you
Who's to say?
could have even played the respect angle. He comes back. He comes face to face with the Undertaker again. Undertaker says, "Hey, kid, good work," like he did to Jeff Hardy after the ladder match. And
Not that ladder match though.
And I think that, like I said, I think that would have been better for Roman's longevity in his career and the fan base if Taker had gone over, and they just didn't do it.
See, because with matches like that, you need to have a payoff. Especially when it's beating The Undertaker at Mania. There needs to be a reason for that. When you don't have a payoff, it's like, then why do we do it in the first place? Like, see, at this point, it's irrelevant. It really is. Like, that whole storyline is completely irrelevant. There's nothing from it at all.
So here's the thing, though. Because of that, because we got the results we never wanted, it created a bigger snowball effect for Roman.
Yeah,
in my eyes,
it developed a lot more resentment.
that and a whole lot worse bookings for him as far as matches go, as far as the bajillion matches with Brock Lesnar goes. The fact that he couldn't even cut a promo with John Cena, and Cena on live TV had to correct him.
Cena put him through the ringer.
That was so great.
For me, it was a lesser of two evils situation again.
Yeah,
I was
but
like,
you can't say you weren't happy that John Cena
oh, I was.
did that to him.
But see, that's the thing, is I'm like, Vince, take a nice hard look at who you're pushing right now. Look at him. You got your top guy for so many years calling out your current top guy and saying that you can't even cut a promo. What is that saying about your vision about your self-proclaimed future of the face of the WWE? Because everyone who you've pushed so far has been able to at least talk. The Shawn Michaels, the Bret Harts, the Steve Austins, the Rocks, even John Cena have all been able to talk. Even Brock Lesnar, where people are like, he can't talk. Yes, he can.
Oh, back in the day when his first...
Even now.
In his first run... Okay, I kind of like Brock Lesnar in his first run. Not to say that I never didn't like Brock when he came back. It's just, I felt Brock was more animated back then. And he had a lot more to sell because, He wasn't thinking of going to UFC. He wasn't thinking of like leaving. He was just there. But his comeback again, like the second run in WWE, I don't know if he's officially gone yet. So far, we don't really know. But you see that it's still the same Brock Lesnar. You know, I'm this badass. I'm here to like fuck everybody up. You know, but the whole angle of him being a lazy champion, defending him whenever he wants, going on ESPN saying, you know, I'm part-time, I'm getting paid. It's like, okay, we get it. If this doesn't work out for you, you have your outlet back to UFC. But come on, man. You used to be so much more animated and better at this. But again...
Well, he was also still paying his dues. He was young at the time when he was hungry and driven and entertaining. And then you had 20, where he fought Goldberg, and no one gave a shit because they were both leaving. And then you got back to this point in time where it's like, he's just here for the fucking paychecks.
Well, I mean, even on that Goldberg and Brock Lesnar situation, I think that WWE corrected it to the best of their ability. That whole Goldberg comeback story was absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change anything.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
But then you get to the Brock Lesnar and Roman storyline.
And it's basically the same thing.
But here's the thing. I feel like every single time they wanted to pull the trigger, but I feel like they thought, okay, we're going to get a lot of backlash. This is not going to work out. How do we alter it? I think even at SummerSlam...
better.
Even at SummerSlam, you had Braun Strowman at the side teasing the whole thing. And I think that was
we're skipping WrestleMania?
Which one?
Brock, Roman.
We're
skipping Greatest Royal Rumble?
Let's talk about that. WrestleMania 34.
Brock Lesnar.
To be honest, WrestleMania 34, I would have much rather had that than Roman winning. Because I thought the whole card was great. I'm like, I wouldn't want to cap off a really good WrestleMania with Roman walking out as the champion. But see, again, you've had time and time again to go with the humbling storyline. Okay, Roman said he could beat Brock. He didn't. He said it at 31. He said it at 34. He couldn't do it. Write him off. Get him away from the company for a while. And then bring him back. That's how you win him over. Even bring him back as a heel. I couldn't beat you one-on-one fair. Okay, I'm going to pull out every single trick in the book to try and beat you.
But then they didn't do that. They took it after WrestleMania to the Greatest Royal Rumble in a steel cage match.
But I think that was
steel cage.
That was a circumstance type of deal because I think with the Greatest Royal Rumble, even with Super Showdown, it's a insurrection rebellion type of deal where titles are not going to change.
No, I understand that, and that's fine. But at the same time, it's like sell the match better. Like give me more out of it. Like honestly, that ending to that match to me, the fact that it's like, oh, you know, the cage breaks, who lands first, regardless.
We all knew was going to happen.
It's just, I know that, but it still just bothers me so bad. And then, you know, you get SummerSlam, and obviously it didn't go well for one person in this podcast. Well, all of us knew it was going to happen. But I'm just saying, like, so many things at this point, it's just like, now, what can you do? What can you do with him now that the belt's on his shoulder?
Okay.
Like, can you really play off the humbleness anymore?
Well, here's the problem with that is that I think that right now, we were just talking about this before we recorded, is that right now in September of 2018, the main focus on Raw is on 6 guys. The Shield, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and Braun Strowman. I think that instead of singling out these guys, you need to have them together at all times. So here's the thing. You put the tag team championships on Dolph and Drew. Okay, not a problem. You put the Universal Championship on Roman Reigns. But see, again, they're scattered. I've said it before. I said it on the last episode. One of your best matches that you could have maybe ever is having all 6-man inside Hell in a Cell. You want a match, you want ratings, that match would be ratings because a lot can happen in that match. You have the aspect of powerhouses, high flyers, everything, all in one match. And see, that's the problem, is that you have taken all the relevant belts and just stuck it on these 6 guys.
And
even
then Seth is IC champion right now. I didn't know until I was watching the clips from Raw where Baron Corbin's like, Seth, you'll be stripped of your title. And I was like, wait a minute, Seth's a champion? But no, when he said that, I was like, what? Because Seth wasn't even carrying the belt.
Yeah.
He hasn't been carrying the belt for 2 weeks.
Well, because he's in
a different feud. He's in Roman's feud.
He's in a Shield feud right now.
And do you see? That's what I'm saying. Is that
Is he in a Shield feud or is he in Roman's feud?
all of
Because
the
the whole thing is driven by Roman and Braun.
It's all of the above right now, regardless of the fact that it's Roman versus Braun. Like, here's the thing. Right now, we're getting a push on Braun Strowman where he's not aligning himself completely with Drew and Dolph. He told them, like, I'm doing this because of the circumstance of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need you to. But for now, I'm going to ride it out. And it's great because not only are we getting the Shield back, something I kind of been wanting for a while.
Yeah, but it's for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. And that's the thing that kills me. As much as I want this team back, it's not there for the right ones. It's there because it's like, all right, we got to protect Roman. Even though we could have done so much with like Seth and Dean, or see where this goes with Roman and Braun. But I would agree that if it wasn't just like Roman versus Braun, if instead it's the Shield versus this new trio, I wouldn't even give them a name, but if we had them just like, you know what, let's postpone the Universal Championship match. We can push it all the way to Survivor Series if we wanted to. Let's get these 6 guys who've all main evented already. So many pay-per-views now. Let's put the cage. Let's put the Hell in a Cell over them. Let's give them weapons in there. And like you said, high flying ability, powerhouse maneuvering. You will have, I think, the greatest main event in Hell in a Cell pay-per-view history. Or even for this year's, if that match would be the second closest thing to WrestleMania 34.
You know, Dan, I think you brought this up last time where you said, you know, we dare to see with the Raw writing committee how they plan out all their storylines, because the way I think that after SummerSlam, these guys didn't have any long-term booking. I think it was just, oh, okay, we got Dolph and Drew here. Mr. Strowman, he's kind of trying to cash in. What do we put the Shield together? Yeah. Okay, now we have a 6-man thing going on.
Yeah, you don't have a uniform, like, long-term story arc. You're planning for the next pay-per-view, and that's it.
Because what happened at SummerSlam? Braun finally destroyed Kevin Owens. They dropped that match real quick. It's like, all right, now Braun's on his own path. Kevin Owens, whatever. Seth wins the IC title.
We thought Dean was going to turn. He didn't.
No. So it's like, okay, now we have these two. We're not going to make them turn against each other. We're not going to do the reversal of what Seth did to Dean.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, the worst booking in your opinion, Roman finally wins the title.
Well, I wouldn't say the worst booking.
Second worst?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like
Becky was supposed to win.
We are not discussing that right now. Damn it. Like you said, it seems like Raw right now with their right. Will you let it go for a second? God damn it. Like you said with the writing on Raw, it's like, okay, there's so much to do, but yet everyone that was aligned with these guys is now spread out as well.
Quick side note.
Becky should have won?
That too, but Kevin Owens has been at ringside in support of Braun Strowman the last 2 weeks. He's been part of the mugging group toward the Shield.
That's kind of odd.
He cut a promo last night saying that, oh, I'm just here to do my job now. And, you know, when I helped destroy the Shield, I was just doing my job. I wasn't pulling favors for anybody. So I think that's his new gimmick now. It's just I do what I want when I want. Where have I seen that before? Every single area you can think of.
But the thing is, it's like, maybe this time, and I hope we can get a twist on it with Kevin Owens, because honestly, I was kind of sold when he was so humbled out by Seth and he quit, or he dropped the quit. And I was just like, where are you going to go with this? I kind of like what you're doing right now. And then you come back and you're helping Braun kick the Shield's ass. I'm like, what? And now you're helping Jinder? kick Bobby Lashley's ass?
See, that's what I'm saying, is that there is no... I think it's very much, okay, let's grab this, let's throw it on the wall. Oh, it sticks. Okay, that's tonight's Raw.
It's like they're trying to build everything to be a wild card so that they can just throw
Yeah.
things in whenever.
But see, the problem is that someone else right now... So, okay, so you have these 6 over here. We're doing our own thing. There could have been someone out there right now. You could have had a storyline for the Intercontinental Championship. You could have had a storyline for the Tag Team Championship. You could have had a storyline for the Universal Championship. Look at all these guys like Elias, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, who are just kind of on the outskirts, not really doing much. You could have given them those titles and said, okay, here you go, run with it. We're doing our thing over here. Instead, you slapped on all these titles and said, okay, so now if you really consider it, Intercontinental Championship is not going to be on the line at Hell in a Cell. That's a match you could have had between a Finn Balor and, say, someone else. You know, you got the Tag Team Championships, which it's like, okay, fine, sure, but they're missing out. They're really missing out on a golden opportunity here.
Unless they're trying to downsize.
How so?
Well, because if you put all of the titles on a small group of people and you shove all of them into a story, then you can focus an entire episode on those people and not have to worry about the rest of your roster,
But see,
which is kind of shitty.
again, they're all intertwined. If Seth and Dean go out, chances are Drew and McIntyre, are there, and Braun's gonna come out, and then Roman's gonna come out, and it all just becomes a 6-man deal again. You have a very much a 6-man deal going on
Yeah.
right now.
And this makes sense if you're building toward what we've discussed, to the winner takes all title match or something like that. For these 6 guys to have all the fucking belts. But I mean, should we throw the women's title on Braun or what? Just get them all. Just get it over with.
At least it would be on someone who's actually passionate about the WWE.
That'd be
Yes,
fun.
we're still talking about you, Roman.
That'd be a fun match.
Well, I was talking about
Ronda
Ronda.
versus Braun.
I'm trying to bring it back to the main topic. because
Anyway,
we're
yeah.
steering off.
Yeah.
Even though this is great talk.
Rolling back.
For something.
For Table for 3, which you can catch on the WWE Network for a non-negotiable but reasonable price of only $9.99.
What?
$9.99.
What?
Not $10.
What?
Not $1,000.
What?
Not $10,000.
What?
Not $100.
What?
200.
What?
500.
What?
$1 million.
What?
$9.99. Anyway,
But yeah, so that's where I stand.
And that's where I stand.
beautiful. So there we go. We got through this episode surprisingly, without bringing the house down.
Thanks to the advocate of this episode.
That'd be me.
Thank you. Once again, guys, that wraps up another episode of the Anything Wrestling podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.
Believe that.